I woke up one morning and a profound, chilling dread settled over me. My mother, who I'd spoken to just yesterday, had been dead for a decade. I found her obituary, funeral photos, condolence cards, undeniable proof of a past I didn't live. Either I had slipped into a world where Mom passed in 2014, or my brain had irrevocably snapped. Tonight, we're not talking about abstract theories. We're talking to real people who swear they're living in the wrong universe, and the evidence some of them present is disturbingly good. The moment everything changed. Imagine your life shifting in an instant. For Fernando Valencia, it happened in 2016. He walked into his office and greeted the receptionist, but she looked at him like a ghost. Security escorted him out. HR told him he'd been terminated in 2012, 4 years ago, after a car crash left him comatose. The problem? Fernando remembered the last 4 years perfectly. He had the pay stubs to prove it. But when he looked closer, the company watermark was different and his ID didn't scan. He was in his office, but it wasn't his office anymore. Or consider Lena Kay, who logged into her Gmail to find 5 years of emails she never sent or received, acceptance letters to universities she never applied to, photos with roommates she'd never met, and order confirmations for items she didn't own. Her past had been rewritten, and she was the only one who noticed. These aren't sci-fi plots, they're stories from ordinary people who hit a glitch in reality. They call it a slide, a jarring transition to another version of reality. The most disturbing part is the hyper-specific detail of the mismatches. A scar that moves, a house painted a different colour, or a child insisting their father never wore glasses. It's these small discrepancies that make you question everything. Communities of these sliders on subreddits like r/parallel universe grow by thousands each year, with members desperately looking for a way back home. Why the Mandela effect is just the tip. Most of us know the Mandela effect from harmless examples, like remembering the Berenstain Bears as Berenstein. It's a quirky memory glitch, but when that glitch inserts traumatic events, like the deaths of loved ones, it becomes terrifying. In 2019, hundreds of New Zealanders vividly recalled a major earthquake in 2013, describing specific damage and details. Yet according to all seismic data, that earthquake never happened. Neuroscientist Dr. Donna Liu has shown that memory is reconstructive. Every time you recall an event, you resave a slightly altered version. This explains some variance in collective memory. But the Mandela effect isn't random drift, it's large groups of people giving the exact same wrong answer with unwavering confidence. Skeptics point to social reinforcement. Someone posts a false memory on Reddit and a false consensus spreads. This explains some milder effects, but it breaks down for memories that predate the internet. People born in the 1960s remember Berenstein long before any online forum existed to influence them. The parallel universe camp argues these aren't memory errors at all. They're crosstalk between nearby worlds. You aren't misremembering, you're remembering a different cosmos correctly. The physics you were never taught in school. The concept of parallel universes isn't just science fiction, it's a debated area of theoretical physics. In 1957, Hugh Everett III's many worlds interpretation (MWI) proposed that every quantum event causes the universe to split. Schrödinger's cat isn't alive or dead, it's alive in one universe and dead in another, with both being equally real. It's an infinitely branching tree of realities. Cosmologist Dr. Max Tegmark goes further, proposing a hierarchy of parallel universes where every mathematically possible structure exists as its own universe. This includes universes where the laws of physics are different. String theory introduces brain worlds, where our universe is a brain or slice floating near others in higher dimensions. If these brains were to touch, it could create a ripple, potentially allowing a memory or consciousness to leak through. Finally, inflationary cosmology suggests our universe is one of countless bubble universes, each with its own physical laws. While travel between them is thought to be impossible, the bizarre principle of quantum tunneling might allow for information and perhaps consciousness to hop between these realities. No experiment has confirmed this, but absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence. Living with a borrowed life. Imagine waking up next to a stranger you're supposedly married to. Your dog is now a cat. Your city apartment now overlooks a river that wasn't there yesterday. This was the reality for Chris P., a Canadian trucker who experienced months of crippling derealization, feeling like an imposter in his own life. Most experiencers don't want fame, they want coping strategies. Therapists often diagnose them with depersonalization or dissociative disorders, but medication only dulls the anxiety without fixing the disconnect. So they turn to each other in online groups, trading hacks for navigating their fractured realities. They keep reality journals, screenshot everything, and record date-stamped voice memos as anchors. The logic is terrifying. If they slide again, they'll have proof they aren't crazy. Some report multiple slides with minor changes accumulating over time. They stop trying to convince others and live with a constant, exhausting vigilance. A fascinating minority, however, learns to embrace it, treating life like an endlessly shifting choose-your-own-adventure book. But building a stable life is nearly impossible when the ground beneath your feet is constantly rearranging itself. Can you slide on purpose? Online forums are filled with rituals for inducing a slide, from mirror gazing to manifestation grids. A dedicated few claim success. The common denominator seems to be a combination of extreme emotional intensity, focused intention, and a distinct environmental trigger like a flash of lightning or the thrum of an MRI. It's as if these moments crack open reality, allowing for a jump. Quantum physicist Dr. Yasunori Nomura speculates that consciousness itself might act as a measurement device, selecting an adjacent branch of the multiverse to inhabit. The catch: you can't control where you land. Some report precursor dreams, feeling like sneak previews of an alternate reality, only to wake up inside them weeks or months later. Even declassified CIA gateway documents from the 1980s explored using meditation and binaural beats to alter consciousness and resonate with other realities. The bottom line is there is no verified, repeatable method for sliding, and if you do try, be prepared. A go bag with a passport, cash, and a flash drive of your documents might be necessary. The skeptic's counterpunch. For every wild theory, there is a counterpunch. Memory is fallible. A 2015 study showed that 70% of volunteers recalled fabricated childhood events after just a gentle suggestion. Psychologist Elizabeth Loftus famously convinced people they'd met Bugs Bunny at Disneyland, an impossibility. If professionals can implant memories in a lab, imagine the power of Reddit threads and TikTok clips operating at scale. Occam's razor suggests the simplest explanation is usually correct. People misremember, and social media amplifies these errors into a false consensus. No multiverse required. Neurologically, many slider experiences can be explained by phenomena like dejavu, jamais vu, and depersonalization. Conditions like temporal lobe epilepsy can also make the familiar feel foreign. Yet, even skeptics struggle with residue, physical evidence that contradicts current reality. The classic example is the Fruit of the Loom logo. Millions recall a cornucopia in the logo, which the company says never existed. But a 1973 trademark filing for the logo describes exactly that. This is where simple explanations start to buckle. Science demands repeatability. Until we can slide volunteers under lab conditions, parallel universes remain a hypothesis. But labeling every experiencer as delusional is intellectually dishonest. The wise stance is an agnostic one. Keep investigating without prejudgment. How to test if you're in the wrong world. Could you be living in a borrowed life? Here's a quick mental checklist. First, search, when did Nelson Mandela die? If you remember his death in prison in the 1990s, you're experiencing the classic Mandela effect. In this reality, he died in 2013. Next, check your anatomy. Are your kidneys above or below your ribcage? Many sliders recall them being higher, but in this reality, they sit lower toward your back. Check pop culture and branding. Is it Chick-fil-A or Chick-fil-A? Skechers or Skechers? Did the droid C-3PO have one silver leg or were both gold? Geographically, is New Zealand northeast or southeast of Australia? For many, their mental map has shifted. To track slides, document everything, screenshot your phone's interface, record voice memos describing your surroundings, but beware of confirmation bias. Write down your prediction before you check the facts. Finally, if you discuss this, ask open-ended questions like, what do you recall about this jingle, to avoid implanting false memories. If you confirm a slide, stay calm. Panic clouds observation. Treat it like fieldwork. Note every detail and adapt. Tell me your story. Have you experienced something that made you question reality? A subtle, unsettling glitch in the matrix? Drop your story in the comments below. I read every one, and the most compelling stories might get their own follow-up video. If you have photos, screenshots, or any residue from an alternate past, please share them. Let's crowd-solve this cosmic glitch. And if this is your first night in the wrong universe, you are not alone. Where do we go from here? We stand caught between what we swear was real and what the world insists is true. Are these discrepancies just psychological hiccups amplified by the internet? Or are we brushing sleeves with neighbouring realities? Science hasn't slammed the door. Many worlds and brain worlds allow for multiple versions of reality to exist. What we lack is a way to track consciousness across these shifts. Until then, these deeply personal, terrifying accounts remain our most compelling data. If you are unaffected by these shifts, treat these stories as a prompt to remember that memory is fragile and certainty is a luxury. Back up your photos and cherish your loved ones. And if you are affected, know this: questioning reality is not madness, it is the frontier of human curiosity. We may never definitively prove a slide, but every honest account chips away at the wall between the possible and the proven. Keep your eyes open and your mind willing to consider the impossible, because somewhere another version of you is watching this, wondering if they're the one who jumped,